Tim, we're starting another week, and I am a little confused, and I think everybody else is a little confused. I know that they start on Monday, the training camps, which should be great. But you give us all the confusing times.
Well,
I have some questions too.
Okay.
I got to ask you.
So the 13th, we do the show on the Sunday. So tomorrow, the 13th, which is Monday, is the training camps. So I guess each team is in there wherever they're going to do their training camps, and then the 24th of July, they go to the cities. So you're either going to go to Toronto or Edmonton, the West and the East, and then the next day they start exhibition games on the 25th, and then at the end of the month, July 30th, starts the playoffs. The first is the best out of 5 round, and then they go. And then the Stanley Cup Finals is on hopefully September 20th, and they are saying it's going to be in Edmonton, and they hope that everything wraps up October 2nd.
So it'll be all over. So that should be good. But I was Brad Park said when I coached the Boston Bruins, I was the most positive in his book. I was the most positive person that you could ever find. But I have a few questions, and I know you can answer them like that. All right, there's somebody going in to make up their room. They got the maids or whatever like that. What's going on there? I mean, like say those maid goes home or whatever goes home.
I don't know. They said from what I was hearing in radio, there's no room service. And
what if a guy gets hungry about 11 o'clock? That's when most hockey players start ordering room service.
I don't know. They said the restaurant might be open. So I'm not sure. And then they said or maid service is only every 3 days or something like that.
Well, it doesn't matter. They come in once.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the National Hockey League, I guess, is the best of all the sports. So I read in the paper anyhow.
Yeah, that's what they said. I was reading in the Toronto Sun. They said of all the different COVID-19 scenarios that looks like the NHL kind of had the smartest plan anyway.
The exercise room is out, eh? They don't go down to the saunas and stuff like that, eh?
I don't know. Like I guess they're gonna, like in Toronto, they're gonna be at Hotel X. Now everybody thinks that Hotel X doesn't have a name. It is the X. It's the hotel at the exhibition place. That's why they call it Hotel X.
Oh, I got it.
And then the Royal York, and then in Edmonton they're going to be at the Marriott, and I guess that's connected right to the rink.
Oh, that's a beautiful ring. Tom and Salmi, we mentioned him again. He did a good sell job.
Yeah.
And the Stanley Cup is going to be in Edmonton then, eh?
In Edmonton. And then the other guys are staying at the Sutton Place. But I got a question to ask you. You talk about this. So they were saying at the Hotel X in Toronto that all the teams that don't like each other are in the hotel, and they got to stay, and they got to kind of stay with they're all going to be eating in the restaurant and all that. So they said Boston, Tampa, Washington, Philly, and Pittsburgh, who all don't like each other, are all in this hotel. Now, in the 70s, let's say you were with the Bruins and this happened, and you would say the Bruins
and
Philly and Montreal and a team like Atlanta. You guys always had fights in Atlanta. Let's say you were in that ring. Do you think there would have been trouble?
Yes, there would have been trouble, and I think that after 2 months, but no, I things have changed. They have their golf tournaments now, and you see them talking on the ice, and there are a few like St. Louis, Boston. That finals was that was a mean finals.
Let's say if they stay at the same hotel.
Yeah, there are a few guys. I think Crew got a few things, but. I have a question to ask you. Yeah, there would be trouble. I think I have to.
Well, we were talking yesterday that when in the old days when with the Rocket Richard and that when they were on the train, they wouldn't talk.
It was a funny thing. The Montreal Canadiens were at the last car, and to get to the club car to have breakfast and that, they had to go through. And Detroit was like before the club car. They wouldn't have breakfast. They'd go without breakfast before they'd walk in amongst the Detroit guys.
So they would intermingle on the train.
Oh, they hated when. I mean, well, what did Peter McNabb call big boy hockey back then? Yeah. No, they're pretty. But I think that Pittsburgh, or I think Boston and St. Louis. I think there was a few ill feelings there. But I got a question to ask you. What about overtime? Now, I asked you before we went on the air to find out how many overtimes were there?
In the last year in the playoffs, in the first 2 rounds, there was 14 overtimes, and I think 2 or 3 of them were double overtime.
Now, can you imagine? You got games, and
Back to back to back.
back to back to back. Got 3 games in a row. Why? One of them could, if they have 3 periods in a row, you could be watching hockey at 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah, and just like if you were as a coach, I don't think if you think the game's supposed to be at 7 and it goes to double overtime, and now the game starts at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, that's going to throw you guys off.
Well, I know.
You always said, that hockey players are a creature of habit.
Yeah, they are. And we were one of the first teams to play in the afternoon. Harry wanted to do it for the kids because all the kids had come in and everything. And boy, it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? You get in, it wasn't the same. Okay, well, I hope they do it. The NHL is doing it the best of any sport, but boy, I'll tell you, the OT, overtime, and I don't know.
The one thing too, I always wondered is how's the ice going to hold up?
Yeah, it'll hold up. It's supposed to be Toronto. Toronto always had good ice, or has good ice now, and Edmonton is a brand new arena. But
tell that story about the time it was in Dallas with you and Ron and Gary Bettman. And they were having problems because it was, middle of June in Dallas, and the ice wasn't that good. So,
yeah, I this is the way I remember it. Is I was watching Ron, and he and everything. We're having a tough time, but I love the guy that did the ice, and I always praised him all the time and asked how his mother is and everything like that, and. Ron innocently had, I don't know, did he have a thermometer?
It was like humidity. They were saying
humidity, that was it. And Gary Bettman said to him, Ron, here we are. We're in the finals, and all I hear about is humidity. Why don't you enjoy the game? So I'm watching this. So now, unbeknownst to me, well, I guess everybody used to watch Coach's Corner. So he's watching Coach's Corner. So I said, Ron, I saw you. And I said, before the game, give it a rest about this. And so I give it to him pretty good. And Gary Bettman came in and said, thank you, Dawn. That's how he used to say Dawn all the time. Thank you, Dawn. And he said, you're the only one that knows that. I saw them before. And anyhow, that was one of the things. That was in Dallas.
Yeah, well, I guess they can keep the rink closed. That's the thing.
You see, the big thing, a lot of people don't realize it, but if you look around, they have curtains where you go in and out, and that used to be open all the time, but they got all closed off. And you go into some of those rinks now, they are freezing, and the ice will be pretty. Those rinks will be nobody in the arena, and I guess they're going to have sound, like if people sound. And I watched the boxing. And they don't have, they have in the background, they have pictures and that, and and I think that they'll have the music and they'll have everything, and I don't think they're going to put dummies in the seats or anything. But
I have a question about the playoffs. How is this? They're going to be doing a lot of games in a row. How is this going to all be televised? Is it taped? Is it live? Or what's going to happen?
No, I think it's going to be. They said you can watch 15 hours of hockey straight if you want.
And if it's an overtime, it'll be longer.
Yeah, it'll be 20 hours of hockey.
Oh, I see.
But now the second season, the training camp starts November 17th. This is an important thing, and the season starts in December sometime. December 1st.
Yeah, that's for next year.
That's for next year. That's the following year. And a lot of people think, well, the players were the ones that wanted the Stanley Cup tough to win. They didn't want 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5. They wanted 4 out of 7 the next round. They want whoever wins it. I'll tell you, he'll deserve the Stanley Cup. It won't be little. What do you call it, asterisk or something?
An asterisk, yeah.
Yeah, you won't listen.
I asked this before. I'll ask you again. Do you think this will be harder than?
Yeah.
Than a regular, even though there's less travel.
No, I don't care. This isn't going to be an easy thing. The guys got to be for 2 months. They got to be. I think it's going to be tougher, and I don't want anybody. I don't think anybody should ever put anything that say this is a throwaway Stanley Cup, because I think it's going to be tough to do.
Yeah. Do you think the players will be ready to go, or do you think it's going to take them a while?
No, they're all in shape now. Now, if this had been 30, 40 years ago, there's no way they could do this. But most of the guys are in shape now. They stay in shape all year round, so there'll be no problem. And the exhibition games, they were a pain in the neck. And we used to have to play 8 games. The reason we played it was because to make money. No, they won't need it. Everybody will be injured. All the injuries will be back. They'll be ready to go for the playoffs. It'll be a great. If you can stand 90 hours of hockey, you're going to see some great hockey. The only thing, and I think about it again, the only thing that bothers me is the referees are going to call chintzy penalties at the start. And if that starts, that'll be good for the Leafs. But if that starts, if they start that chintzy penalties, then it's going to ruin the playoffs.
The only thing I could think of with that is that the referees are going to be somewhat under pressure to get the games over with.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like if they're calling 20 penalties and the game's dragging on, it's like when you go to like a minor midget tournament. Yeah. The referees know, okay, there's 80 games played in this rink tonight. I got to kind of get it over with, and they don't call. That might be the only saving grace. But on the other hand, this might be a way to set the tone.
Well,
for the rest of the
I'll tell you, if they call chintzy penalties, they'll ruin the playoffs. It won't be the same playoff because that St. Louis Boston series, boy, that was a great finals.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where they put the cameras because now they can put the cameras down closer to the ice. You know what I mean? And
I remember. In some of the games in the OHL, they used to have the cameras low. It was like you were right at the game. And Kingston, remember Cindy? Yeah, remember they had the cameras really low.
Well, I think one of the best. I remember watching the Bruins TV 38. The cameras, because it was so steep, the cameras were right over the ice, and it makes a big difference watching the games.
It's funny, it's a funny thing you say that. I never realized how the timeouts throw the teams off, like till I coached in the prospect game. And I remember when I coached the Bruins, there used to be a girl that knew when there was an icing, and she'd have a red light, and you would never know, and it'd be an icing, and she'd go right to the commercial, and the guys used to kind of take their time going out and everything like that. You never knew there was a commercial on, and I remember the very first time they talked about having the longer commercials. And I remember Jim Plebisky and Ron were for it. And I said, I'm telling you, you're making a mistake. It won't end up, double overtime, end up about 90 minutes. I think it's about 90 minutes now. And I never realized how it throws off the game. But before, it was, before, it was like a routine. Like the players knew how long it was going to be. They knew what was going to be icing the whole deal. Now I think it's about 90 minutes now.
I think they do 90 seconds or 2 minutes.
Well, think of the fans sitting in the seats.
Well, they're used to it now.
Yeah, but still, it kills it.
You're wondering what to do. Here we are waiting for the TV commercial. Meanwhile, you're paying how much money for your seats?
Yeah, and you throw the pucks. The guys throw the pucks.
Yeah, and they
down.
Scrape the ice now and stuff like that to try to, I think, to entertain the people. But if you remember back when we would watch, there would just be one commercial. So the whistle would blow. They'd go directly to a commercial, which was 30 seconds, and then they'd be back.
Yeah.
Now it's almost 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And when you're at the game, the referees knew just to slow it down, just a tad. Like they'd skate. Linesmen wouldn't roar down and pick up the puck and roar back. They kind of meander back to the.
You'd never know there was a commercial.
No.
You'd never know there was a commercial. And I remember. And I kept saying, you're making a mistake. I said, I'm making a mistake. So wait a minute, let me just get this right. I said, you're not listening to Coach of the Year, me, but you're listening to a weatherman and a washed-up hockey player. I remember that. And they passed it, and by gall now, and it wasn't 60 seconds. I forget what it is now.
Man, it seems like an eternity. And sometimes, too, it's like...
I couldn't believe it when I prospect game. And time.
A lot of time when you're at the game too, you watch a team's got a little bit of momentum, and they're going along, and then the timeout comes, and they come back, and that the momentum's gone.
Yeah, you're falling asleep.
Does it? Let me ask you this though: does it rest the superstars a little bit more? Does it help them?
Well, they get on more. There's no doubt about it. They get on more. You can, if you have 90 seconds, you can start that line and
start it again.
Not that not that it mattered at our club because we had 11. Imagine 11 20-goal scorers. 11. And but get on that again. I have to congratulate. I'm getting off on another subject here. I keep going on, but when we went down to Boston, and they said they were going to celebrate 11 20-goal scorers, and they'll never be broken again, because now the superstars get a. So anyhow, I thought just drop the puck, on the old guys, and by God, Bruce Cassidy had the player, the whole team come out and sat on the bench with their sweaters on. A lot of people don't realize. And they had great programs. The program was that night was all the Bruins on it. And they had I give you a couple, City, like posters. And before the game, they showed all the goals, all the guys, boy, they did. And Bruce Cassidy had, I was pretty good at the, I thought it would be, just drop the puck, see you later. They made
it was a real fanfare. I saw all the stuff, and you even had the posters signed by all the players.
Pucks, they had pucks.
You just got the posters somehow.
I got something else too. But anyhow, I had some heavy dude. But anyhow, they did a great job. The Boston Bruins.
Boston always seems to do. I mean, even the Ricky Middleton.
Ricky Middleton.
When they were, we did a while ago. We did one on that, but the Bruins, when they do a presentation, I hate to say, like, you go to some of the Leaf stuff, and I'm not knocking the Leafs. It's not very good. The Bruins do it,
and they sat on the bench, like they played that night, and they all sat on the bench with their sweaters on. And then when Ricky Middleton came, and I remember he asked me to say a word. I was the only guy to speak, so I got on, and I knew Ricky from I knew him from the American Hockey League. Nobody else, he didn't know him.
He played for Providence, right?
He played for Providence. He had long hair. And he went to New York, and he got a little trouble there. We were talking about that, John, with John Ferguson. So Harry said, look, I got a chance to make a trade. He said, you know about this Middleton? I don't know about him. I said, well, Harry, this is what I said that night. I said, he can go that way, but he doesn't go this way. I said he has to be introduced to his goalie at the end of the season. And he thought that was funny.
Yeah, but the other thing, too, though, is that it was for Kenny Hodge, and you and Kenny Hodge were not.
Well, Kenny Hodge
didn't see eye to eye on stuff.
No, we did not get along. And Ricky, he had no idea. I remember the story he told me after it was through, that he was in. Did I tell that story about Bill Hydick? Did I tell that story?
Well, I tell it again.
I'll tell it again. I used to be on beyond the points. So Ricky, he was a good guy. He saw the other point wasn't being covered, and he left his point, which is Bill Hyde.
Bill Hyde. Yeah.
Bill Hyde, yeah. He got one goal every 4 years. He left him and went over to the other guy, and sure enough to come to Bill Hyde, and he scored. He scored, his point scored. And, so he said he stood there, and he looked at the bench, and he said, looked at me waiting there, and the old lad, there's a door there. He said, I didn't know whether to skate right off the ice or go to the bench or not. Anyhow, and at the end, he learned, boy, I used to leave him at the end. He used to block shots and everything.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
And he doesn't make, I cannot believe he's not even being considered for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And he still holds a record for the most goals in a playoff series.
Is that right?
Most goals, most points, or something like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Bobby Schmatz, I used to have.
Well, you should tell about the 30, the 11, 20 goal scorer. So if you think about it, so that's how many? That's the first three lines. So that's 9 guys.
9 guys, and any line I could put on would score. And some of them had 43 goals. Peter McNabb had 43 goals.
But you were a type of coach where I remember one time you got in trouble because if there was anyone that needed a bonus, like if they needed 20 goals, you would say, does anyone need to go on for any specific bonus? And they go, oh, he needs to go on. He's only got 19.
No, I would Bobby Schmatz come down.
Yeah, would say. But see, that didn't sit too well with management when you would worry about the players like that.
I remember in Toronto, I said, now look, it's a nothing game. We're in first spot and the whole deal. I said, if Ricky gets a point or if he gets a goal, I said, don't let on because Harry's watching. Harry's sitting, the general manager's watching, and the owners are watching back in Boston.
Right, to see if you were going to play him a lot, right?
Yeah, and so he gets the goal, and he gets pretty $20,000 or something like that, and all the players jump on and jump around, and
then the fans are wondering in Toronto,
well, like, they're wondering,
why
what
is
the heck
everyone
is it?
so happy? You know.
And then after the game, they call him Eddie.
Eddie Munster.
Remember the guy, the Munsters?
Yeah, the Munsters.
He had
yeah.
he was always white-faced guy. And so Harry comes in the room and he, Eddie, and just to bug me.
You know what I remember?
Bug you or to get you in trouble?
No, they were just kidding.
Yeah. One thing I remember about Ricky Middleton was when we were at your hockey school, he was one of the instructors, and he'd come on the ice and he'd just get the puck and throw it on the ice and just stand there and have a coffee, and then he'd say, "Okay, play keep away," and we'd be going crazy. And again, it's one of those things you say, Dad, that the parents probably were looking like, "What the heck's going on?" But we loved it, and the kids were, and I think we learned how to handle the puck.
Well, that's what he like. If as I've said many times before, hockey schools are not for the players; they're for the school.
For the parents,
for
yeah.
the parents sitting in the stands and say, "Look at that man! Isn't he wonderful?" And you know what really kills me too is, I hope you people, and I shouldn't say this, but what the heck, watch the assistant coach when there's a timeout and they got the goalie out or something like that, and there's an act you go through. So yes, you go here, you go there, you go there, you go there, and what it is for the owner and the general manager and the fans to say, "Boy, look at that guy. He's telling them what to do." And it's all phony. I always thought that was phony.
Yeah, but I remember Ricky and then I remember you said this to Ricky, "You got to do a little bit." He says, "Well, they're learning to handle the puck," and then he'd go out and get the puck, and then he'd skate all around us. We'd chase them all around.
Yeah,
and then he'd put another puck on the ice, and there'd be two pucks on the ice. But you learn, because back then you could hit. Like when you're a little kid, you could hit, right? So if you had your head down, you could hit. Speaking of which, we should talk a little bit about, some people put a question about last week's podcast. The difference between a player with a long stick and a short stick, because I think some people got confused, and why what's the difference?
If I had a young son, I would use Martin St. Louis as an example. Here was a little guy. He got the MVP. He had a long stick.
Yeah, well, you got the scoring. You won the scoring championship.
Won the scoring championship. He's MVP, and he was terrific. And then I bet his stick was, and he was just a little guy. I bet his stick was about 8 to 10 inches longer than Lindros. Now, poor Lindros is sitting home thinking, listen to this. But I noticed straight away that he was bent over all the time. When you're bent over, now.
Well, that's because you're saying Lindros had a short stick.
You can handle a puck. You can handle a puck with a short stick. Gordie Howe, there's a few guys in the National Hockey League. You can handle a puck, but you don't have the same shot. And you don't check. You don't do anything. Martin St. Louis got goals. He used to reach around guys with that long stick and put it in. And then they said, I heard on the television, or radio or something, they said that they'll get a hold of Byfield and make his stick longer. You can't. Once a guy gets used to a short stick, he'll never, ever get it with the long stick if he's any good. And what happened with Lindros? And he was bent over all the time. He could get away with it in minor hockey. He could get away with it in the OHL because he was a monster. He was 6'5", and he did great when he was with Philadelphia, the line of doom and the whole deal. But eventually, somebody going to hit you. Now, there's not much hitting in the game today, but there is somebody. If you burn somebody's toast, if you have your head down, it's too juicy.
So you're saying with a short stick, you're bent over and you're looking down at the puck
all the time.
And that's exactly what happened to Eric. He got hit. He was, always known for his concussions.
He was always,
because he had his head down.
And tell the story about you and Ron just before he got hit by
that was amazing.
Stevens.
So the very first game, I remember the playoffs. He got a goal, and it was a short. And he had a post in the overtime. So,
right, and he had been out for about 3 months with a concussion.
Yeah, and I said he shouldn't be playing. He's still got the effects of a concussion. I said, but he was playing great. And so Ron said, did he say it on television?
No, you guys were just before you went on Coach's Corner.
He said, well, the only way you can be proven is if Lindros goes down, the left side and cuts into center ice or set along the blue line, and Steven comes the other way. I said, yeah. And I said, now that's going to happen. I said, why it's going to happen? I said, Stevens is out to hit tonight. And I keep going on and on. His wife, what was her name? I forget her name now. I saw it, and she had great seats down by, and I used to, when I was hockey night in Canada, I used to be able to sit up high and watch the warm-up. So I was sitting up there, and she was sitting up there, and I said, what are you doing up here in the cheap seats? And she said, I rode over with Steve, and he says, and he had blood in his eyes, and I said he would, and I said, I don't want to sit down and see what's going to happen tonight. And sure enough, and that's why, and Lindros went down the left side. He cut in on the blue line. He cut to the right. I think it was Colin White. I think it was on his.
I think it was, yeah, that's his defense partner.
He let on his beat. They had it set up. So he cut to the along the blue line, and Stevens is coming the other way. And a lot of people, he did hit him. He was out, but he hit his head, and that stupid helmet they were wearing, it went up, and he hit his head on the ice too. So what I'm saying is, if you have a short stick and you're a big guy, you're going to be able to handle a puck better, but boy, you better keep your head up.
Yeah, and then because we were just saying that Quentin Byfield, he's 6'4", 6'5", and he has a short stick.
And he got a short stick, and the guy said with Byfield, he said, well, so-and-so will draft him and get him and make him have a longer stick.
Yeah,
it can't. Once they get used to a short stick, you cannot get them on a long stick.
So you were mentioning if you had a son playing hockey today and you go into the rinks, and Del, I remember when you were small and you hear the parents and the coaches, 2 hands on the stick, 2 hands on the stick.
That's stupid.
Do you believe that?
No.
So explain to people why that is not good. Please.
Every year they have a thing to say.
Oh,
and they sound like they're very clever.
Intellectuals on hockey.
Yeah, like the 2 hands on a stick. Sounds like they know what they're talking about. It's stupid.
Well, yeah, because originally where that came from back in the 70s was you're supposed to have 2 hands on the stick when you're around the net.
Yeah,
so if the puck comes to you.
It comes to you.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyhow, it sounds like you know what.
Because if you've seen some of the stuff of Gretzky shots, he's roaring up the ice.
Yeah.
He's got 1 hand on the stick and he's pushing the puck with 1 hand.
Right.
Stupid. But now they're teaching the kids when they're going up the ice to have 2 hands on their stick.
And why is that?
I don't know. And it slows them down.
How about when they say stick on the ice?
Well, stick on the ice.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's okay. Again, we'll get in. We'll end on this here a little bit about the guy, Dan Cameron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was coaching the team, and we thought, and you could tell, bing, bang, bing, boy, they were terrific. And every guy got drafted to the National Hockey League, or to the OHL, got drafted to the OHL, except the backup goalie, and they didn't hire him back next year. You know why? Because he used to scrimmage so much. And they said, well, what does he? He all got drafted. Then he was a sort of a...
Well, when they're small, as again, I can refer because I was a hockey mom, they would only let the kids scrimmage and use it as a carrot they would be rewarded if they did the drills properly and well done. And then they would scrimmage. That was the only way they let the kids scrimmage.
Funny thing is, I took over Dell's, they said, would you take a practice?
Yeah,
and so the first time I went on, we had so many coaches out there going on. I said, I'm getting out of here.
Well, you were going to get run over by all the coaches.
And he broke the guy's leg.
Well, yes. Dell's dead.
They were good.
God, that was funny.
They were showing the drill that they were doing. However, the kids.
Pavel Bure couldn't figure out this drill.
The Montreal Canadiens couldn't figure out this drill. So the coach was showing them what to do, and they collided at center ice. And one of the coaches broke his leg.
I'd been off. So anyhow, they said no, and I said, well, I'll be on by myself. So I told the kids, I said, I'm going to put the puck in red, white, and I said, I don't want you to pass the puck. Hey, what?
Oh.
I don't want you to pass the puck. I want you to stick out and go through the whole team. Well, they had the sweat was pouring off them. They had the greatest time of all time.
And that was the last time you ever was invited.
And I was never asked again.
You were never asked back, Dad.
But the players had a great time.
Yep.
And
kids had too much fun.
It's funny you say that. I remember a couple of years ago, I won't mention the player, but I was with superstar's dad was watching a minor midget game, and the dad of this guy who was in the NHL, who was a superstar, he turned and he says, "The kids don't handle the puck anymore." He goes, "I'm flabbergasted." He says, "The kids don't handle the puck anymore." And I said, "Well, your son, I think, was kind of the last bastion of the kids would get the puck and go with it."
Yeah.
And he just.
Well, what about Bobby Orr? Bucko McDonald was the guy that, Bobby.
Yeah, but you go into the rinks now, and that's all you hear is the parents yelling, "Pass, pass,
no,
pass."
they say, "Move the puck, move the puck. The puck moves faster than you." I used to say, and I said, "You want to see this drill?" I said, "Coach will shoot it in on the goalie. The goalie will catch it, put it down to the defenseman. The defenseman will put it up to the left winger or the right winger. He'll pass it out to center." That happens about once every a month. But I don't know. We seem to be off subject here, but it's true. You got to have the kids handle the puck. And guys like Marner and guys like that, they handle the puck all the time. And then coach, because they handle them so good, they leave them alone. But I just can't.
Yeah, it's the kids that handle the puck now. It's purely their own skill.
Yeah.
It's not like they're taught anything.
Oh, that's for sure.
It's just like, remember watching Marner when he'd be little, and we talked about a kid named Donnelly that we had.
Oh yeah.
We drafted with the Ice Dogs, but he was like super small.
He was smaller.
He was the smartest kid I think I've ever seen.
He used to at center ice. He used to fool around.
And boy, could but he could handle the puck, right?
Yeah.
And he stood out. And
he could play now.
Yeah, and you watch, like, as an OHL scout, you watch, the first thing you notice is, gee, the kid handles the puck, because 90% of the kids don't.
No, they
just pass.
Good pass.
Well, this is my theory on why they pass, is because they yell at it. Is that the mothers that are sitting in the rink when the kids are small, they want their kid to pass the puck, and they're yelling because they don't want their child to have the reputation of being a puck hog.
Well, they should.
And that's what they're worried about. Well, he never, if the kid goes through the team, well, he never passes the puck. He's very, and that's the truth. That's what happens.
Well,
that's why
Gretzky,
the moms yell, "Pass the puck."
Gretzky never used to pass the puck, and he used to cry, and that's why.
And I bet you the parents said, "Look at him hog the puck."
Yeah, and that's what they call him, a puck hog.
There you go.
And
But there is to a point, though, Dad, because I remember we were watching a kid who's now in the National Hockey League that wouldn't pass the puck when he should have.
yeah,
And then the other kids just turned on him, and
They wouldn't pass him the puck.
wouldn't have passed the puck. He'd be wide open for a breakaway. Nope, they just chip it off the glass. And
there's a happy medium.
there's a happy medium, but remember we watched that. And a funny thing, you picked that out.
Yeah.
And you said, "Watch, they're not passing what's his name the puck." And so I watched, and all of a sudden, it really stuck out. Like, they're not passing him the puck. And the power play, he'd be wide open.
He banging his stick.
Banging a stick.
That doesn't help when the kids bang their stick looking for the pass.
But there is a happy medium.
Yeah.
But still though.
Okay, we started this out. If I had a son, if he insists on, he has to have a short stick. Then there's no sense in. But I would always start him. First of all, a right-hand shot, and because they're always looking for right-hand shots. Get the stick, get a curve, and give him the stick, and get him to shoot right-handed, because they're always after right, especially defensemen, a right-handed defenseman. And I would have the stick. If it's too long, don't let it get too short.
Well, we'll go one last thing, Dad, before we go. It's Cindy. I don't know, Cindy, if I told you to watch it because you're a vegetarian. That documentary on Netflix called Game Changer.
That is unbelievable.
So-
What's that
is a
again?
gr-
I didn't.
It's a documentary on Netflix, and it's about how athletes the different athletes nowadays are becoming vegetarians and vegans and stuff. And like Zdeno Chara, I think he's a vegan in a sense. Like,
Yeah, because there was always used to be.
Sounds like you're Star Trek or something, like vegan.
But Cindy, you and I laugh because everything that they say today, don't do. It's the worst thing an athlete could do.
Yeah.
is exactly what you, and we were talking with your brother, Uncle Rich, the other day, did when you guys played.
Yeah, but I just want to say though, but they on that show, if you watch it, they proved it chemically. They took blood and they showed how it slows down the athletes.
So they said, don't have a big steak and potato before the game. And what did you guys used to have?
Yeah, we used to travel, steak and potatoes, and all the time, and ice cream. And well, they still have the ice cream. The one thing the players have today is that, is a vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce on top. They still have today. But you're right.
But,
most of them don't eat.
Yeah, they don't. But the one thing, Dad, that Cindy and I just people can't get over was back then when you played, you weren't allowed to drink any water.
Yeah, we weren't, and it's ridiculous. I remember, and I was a real fight fan, and Joey Maxim, whose real name is Giuseppe Mandinelli, they changed it to Joey Maxim. He fought Sugar Ray Robinson, and Richard said he was the best fighter of all time. Muhammad Ali copied off him. And in between 15 rounds, Dr. Vincent Nardiello, who was the doctor, I remember all this because of his fighter. He used to be a fighter doctor from Madison Square Garden. He said, just sip some lemonade in between periods to Sugar Ray. Well, what happened was Sugar Ray Robinson, he was told when he was young, he can't have water. It was the same as us. We were told it would make us, I don't know, but
sluggish,
bloat you or
something like that. And I remember I used to be so thirsty, it was unbelievable. I used to run water on I swear to God, I used to run water on my wrists. I thought it would help.
Well, I can remember, watching you guys practice. Just imagine you have a 2-hour practice and you're not allowed any water and you guys are sweating. And I can remember I was down watching as a little girl and you took the ice off your blades. I mentioned this and then you ate
disgusting.
it. And I told Mom that. She just says, well, they're animals.
Yeah,
animals, Cindy. What do you expect and all this? She just...
Yeah. And you know what? When I was on the bench, I seemed to be on the bench an awful lot. I noticed he had the ice bag, and in the ice bag there was some water in it. And so I used to pass it to the guys, and they used to sip it because on the bench you'd be just dying. And you know what they did? They put hot stuff.
Isn't that awful?
I mean, that was ridiculous. And now they call water timeouts and
yeah. So like you would say, if the game was at say 7:00, you probably wouldn't have anything to drink. No. At 6:00.
No.
From 6:00 till the game's over.
But I'll tell you one thing. We sure could drink beer after.
And that's what they said in this thing. Don't you're not supposed to drink beer after because it dehydrates you even more, right?
Yeah, well, it was good going down, boy. The first one, and a lot of guys wouldn't drink any pop after, and we'd wait till the beer, boy. That first one going down was just like cream.
But don't you think, in the old days they do all these biographies of the old time hockey players, and they always seem to bring up how much they used to drink. And when they're doing a hatchet job on an old time hockey player, I say, yeah, just remember these guys didn't drink during a game or during practice, so they made up for lost time to go out to a bar and drink.
Well, we should have drank after, but had pop after.
Yeah.
I remember they used to have 7-Up or something like that. Yeah.
Who was the first guy that you saw?
Jimmy McKinney was the first guy. The Russians actually were the first one. They drank Coke, and so Jimmy McKinney. I remember Jimmy, and then he drank Coke because the Russians do it. So
between periods he'd drink.
Yeah, he'd drink a beer and then started to drink orange and everything like that. He just eats. But Coke. The Russians were the first ones to drink the Coke.
So that probably you guys started to drink in the early 70s. Then the guys started coming back, which is hard to believe that they didn't do.
Bad.
You're lucky you didn't wreck your kidneys.
Yeah, I know. And we were told never to drink. And in junior, we never drank water, and we never drank right in the pro. And it was stupid. We used to have big steaks and potatoes, and we had everything wrong. And we did everything wrong.
Well, I do blogs on vegetarians, as you can imagine, having a pet rescue foundation. And I remember one poster I put up saying, if you want to be as strong as an ox, eat what an ox eats.
No.
Yeah.
Isn't that clever?
Yeah.
That was a great poster.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, but it was amazing you guys survived. Didn't play with any helmets, no visors.
Oh.
ate steak
And hit.
didn't drink.
No
had
mouth guard, no mouth guard.
No mouth guard.
You have all your teeth, eh, Dad? You have every.
Well, I was one of the few guys. I was very lucky. They were loose off a lot. They get knocked loose at a few chips, but most of the guys that I knew.
Lucky, it's like today's society. All the kids, they're all bubble wrapped, and the hockey players now.
And they all have injuries.
And they got all the injuries.
I don't understand it. How could a guy get injured out in hockey today? I mean, it's amazing how 12 guys on the ice out there can avoid one another.
I know, and they're always hurt. Pulled muscle, pulled stomach,
muscles,
pull this. Everything's pulled.
Someday, when we got more time, I'll go into the very first guy I ever saw that looked like the hockey players today.
Okay, that sounds good. So we'll wrap up this week, and then it's getting closer and closer to puck drop. We're anxious to see what. I can hardly wait too.